Ever wonder how a homespun sitcom about an oil-rich hillbilly clan managed to hide one of the sharpest personal feuds in TV history? The secret war between Nancy Kulp and Buddy Ebsen never cracked the laugh track, yet it altered careers, an election, and perhaps even the way we remember the Beverly Hillbillies itself. Stick around, because the truth behind Miss Jane and Jed is wilder than a cement pond full of gators. Nancy Kulp entered the world on August 28, 1921, the only child of a traveling salesman and a strict school principal mother. Structure ruled her childhood. Dinner at 6, homework before radio mysteries, penmanship graded at the table. She devoured newspapers, mastered Latin declensions, and marched off to the University of Miami, determined to write headlines, not read them. 800 miles west and 13 years earlier, Christian Buddy Ebsen Jr. danced barefoot on Belleville, Illinois lawns, while his father choreographed town pageants. In 1920, the family chased Florida sunshine, opening a modest dance studio that doubled as the kids' after-school playground. By 19, Buddy was penniless in New York, splitting a single sandwich with his sister Vilma and betting everything on vaudeville. Two trajectories, one disciplined, one improvisational, yet both powered by restless ambition. And both about to be interrupted by a global war and a dusting of aluminum that nearly turned Hollywood magic into tragedy. But first they had to survive the first brushes with fame. Miami Beach, 1942. Nancy, notebook in hand, leans toward Clark Gable and scribbles quotes for the Tropics newspaper. She's 21, unimpressed by celebrity sheen, and chasing bylines until World War II flashes across every front page. Within months, she swaps press credentials for Navy khaki, earning lieutenant bars while decoding communications along the Atlantic coast. Buddy hits Broadway with Ziegfeld Follies and musicals that let his 6'3" frame spin like a willow in a storm. Walt Disney hires him to demonstrate moves that animators trace onto Mickey Mouse. Then MGM offers the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. But the silver makeup is laced with raw aluminum. After one day, he can't breathe. Hospitalized, replaced, and written out of the credits, Buddy starts over, convinced that Hollywood dreams arrive stapled to disclaimers. These parallel wounds, physical for Buddy, psychological for Nancy, forge resilience. Neither can guess they'll soon share top billing on a show no one expects to last past 13 episodes. Except the universe had one more twist. A sitcom pilot, hidden beneath a working title that fooled even the network brass. 1962, CBS executives screened the Beverly Hillbillies pilot, laughing louder than they have since I Love Lucy. The fish-out-of-water concept is cheap, cheerful, and potentially disposable, yet test audiences erupt. Producers need a secretary for uptight banker Milburn Drysdale, someone brainy yet endearing. Enter Nancy Kulp, fresh off a string of character bits. She sharpens Miss Jane Hathaway into television's first deadpan crusader for common sense. For Jed Clampett, they crave warmth without saccharin. Buddy walks in, pipe stem thin, hat tilted like it grew there, and says, "Well, doggies," in a drawl equal parts velvet and gravel. Roll locked. Premiere ratings dwarf network expectations. By mid-season, the Clampetts outrank the president's press conferences. Emmy nods land on Nancy's doorstep, while Buddy's catchphrase earns its own merchandising. On camera, their chemistry feels effortless. Two sides of the American temperament in harmony. Off-camera, however, studio walls absorb rising decibels. Debates about taxes, Vietnam, civil rights. Crew members trade knowing glances. Donna Douglas slips earmuffs over Ellie Mae's curls to dodge the rhetoric. Audiences heard laughter. Microphones heard something closer to thunder, and the storm was only gathering strength. Buddy, a proud conservative who campaigned for Barry Goldwater, believes small government builds big opportunity. Nancy, who studied political science for fun, quotes John Kennedy on the soundstage and champions equal pay clauses. Their arguments start civil. Soon, tone tightens, sentences clip, table reads freeze. Production managers reshuffle shooting schedules to minimize joint rehearsal time, yet scripts keep Miss Jane hovering near Jed. Irony drips. The very storyline where Hathaway secretly admires Clampett forces actors who barely make eye contact to swap warm smiles 10 take after take. Crew folklore claims one marathon disagreement lasted 3 production weeks, punctuated by polite rolling and cut calls. Still, professionalism prevails. No blown lines, no tabloid leaks. The feud simmers like Granny's clamped pressure cooker, sealed, volatile, waiting for the wrong lever. That lever would appear 2 decades later, far from Hollywood, in a congressional district tucked among Pennsylvania farm towns. After Hillbillies ends, Nancy teaches acting, returns to Pennsylvania, and following the activist spirit of the 70s, decides to run for Congress in 1984. The 9th District skews ruby red, but she's undaunted, door-knocking, debating, promising veterans aid and tech school grants. Local buzz is positive. National outlets sniff a novelty story. Then a 60-second radio spot crackles across AM dials. The familiar baritone of Jed Clampett tells voters Nancy is too liberal for Pennsylvania and warns she's co-opting fame to hide thin policy. Buddy recorded the line in one take, mailed a $100 check to 6-term Republican incumbent Bud Schuster, and considered it civic duty. Nancy hears the ad in her campaign office. Reporters later recall her face draining white, then flushing crimson. She tells the press, "He's not the kindly old Jed Clampett you saw on screen. It's none of his business." Election night isn't close. Schuster 66%, Kulp 34%. Analysts blame district demographics, funding gaps, and, quietly, Buddy's ad that turned nostalgia into a political cudgel. The public feud is now permanent record. The friendship, if it ever was one, lies in shards. Yet time has a habit of softening edges. Defeat stings, but Nancy pivots. She accepts an artist-in-residence post at Juniata College, trading studio lights for chalk dust. Students adore her story breaks, where advice on hitting a comedic beat slides seamlessly into tales of Hollywood pranks. Cancer strikes in 1990. She refuses to let it dictate her final curtain, lecturing until her voice fails. She passes February the 3rd, 1991, aged 69, surrounded by former pupils who whisper lines from Miss Jane to ease the room. Buddy's 1980s glow comes from Barnaby Jones, mystery paperbacks, and his sailboat Polynesian concept. Reporters keep asking about the radio ad. For years, he defends it. Free speech, patriotic duty. But as the 90s roll toward a new millennium, friends note a change. He references a misstep in interviews, mails quiet contributions to cancer charities, and, according to family lore, phones Nancy's hospital 2 weeks before her death. Whether she picked up remains disputed. Some say a muffled apology passed through a nurse. Buddy never confirms, yet biographers cite a private remorse. He dies in 2003 at 95, final survivor of the original ensemble, leaving behind 7 children, a memoir, and the unresolved question, was the radio ad worth the cost? Audiences still debate, digital forums argue, but one truth stands taller than the feud itself. 60+ years after its premiere, The Beverly Hillbillies streams on every major platform. TikTok loops Jed's "well doggies," while fan edits splice Miss Jane's eye rolls into modern workplace memes. New podcasts dissect the socio-economic satire. College media courses discuss how a character actor and a song and dance man built iconography out of culture shock gags. Viewers binge 8 episodes before sleep, unaware that the genial patriarch and whip-smart secretary they love could barely stomach each other's politics. And maybe that's the lingering lesson. Talent can bridge chasms that personal belief cannot. Behind canned laughter lies a reminder that art often demands cooperation from people who disagree on almost everything else. So next time Jed tips his hat and Miss Jane files another loan application, remember the silent arguments just outside the frame, and ask yourself what backstage storms power the shows we think we know. Because sometimes the greatest dramas never make it onto the screen. And that, as Miss Jane might say with a sly half smile, is another story entirely.